Hello Internet, and welcome to a new tutorial. So, I was wrong about the Valhalla Delay. I thought it could just do delay with some really nice algorithms behind it, everything Valhalla DSP is nice and unique, but it's actually way more than that, and it's just one huge sound design machine. So when it came out, I've downloaded the demo and I thought to myself, okay, still nothing sounds better than my beloved Echo Boy, and I've called that a day. A couple of years later, basically last week, I was having a conversation with some friends about delays, and I thought, okay, I'm going to give it another shot. And this is where I've discovered its magic, okay? So in today's tutorial, I want to show you how to get this magic out of Valhalla Delay and how to use it as a sound design machine, because again, it ain't replacing Echo Boy for me as a general purpose delay, because I still think it sounds best. So with that said, let's dive into this tutorial. So here we are in Ableton Live, and here I'm going to load Valhalla Delay really quick, just to make a really quick overview. So here we have the mix and style section, what the mix does. The style will change, the routing between left and right. Basically here we have, single delay, same for both of them. The dual, every channel is independent. Ratio, ping pong, quad. Quad is pretty interesting because it adds like 4 tape heads. It's like basically a tape delay, and it'll add like 4 tape heads for each channel, and this with it we can really create some weird stuff. Here we have the delay time, which can be synced, and here we have one big knob that will change with each style, if that makes sense. So in single, it's spreading between left and right. Basically we can create some bigger stereo images with it. When it's on dual, the independent left and right timing, etc, etc. Here we have feedback, width, nothing to add on that. Coloration of this sound, basically one big drive knob, and the age in here. The age is basically like some crackles and artifacts from a tape machine. As far as I understood it, the Valhalla Delay was based on tape delays, so yeah, basically we'll have like crackles and artifacts with the H thing in here. Diffusion, with it we can basically create reverbs, so we can turn Valhalla Delay into a reverb. This is really cool. This is a +1. We have the size in here. The modulation will change from one algorithm to another. So here we have the tape one, we have the wow and the flutter. If we set it for phaser, DDL, we will have a rate knob and a depth knob, and changes from one algorithm to another. And here we have a really simple high pass, low pass EQ on the feedback stage, basically on the output. Here the mods, this is where the magic happens. Here are the algorithms, different algorithms we can choose from, and we have some really unique ones I'll show you in a bit. The era section here basically will change the characteristics of the sound, past being a little bit darker, present, future being a little bit more brighter. And yeah, with this is that was a really quick overview. Now let's see how we can use it. Let me delete that. So here we have the lead that we've made last week. Sounds like this with the unfiltered audio silo. Okay, you've heard in last week's tutorial. Now let's add the Valhalla Delay and see what we can do with it. So for this one, I'm going to choose the ghost algorithm. Okay, sounds for now like this. Pretty nice. So what I'm going to do in here, so this is a really one simple example of how you can do some crazy stuff with it, okay? So I'll take the delay down to 0. So it sounds like this. Now, what I'll do, I'm going to play with the shift in here, the frequency shift. Pretty nice. How I'm going to do it, I'll take one LFO from Ableton Live. I'll set it to random, maybe, yeah, 1 and 4 should be good. I'll add some smoothing, and what I'll do, I'll make it modulate the frequency shift in here. So I'll just map it to that, and I want it to modulate from 50% to 100%. Basically, I don't want it to go like negative values. So now we have this. Pretty nice. Now let's start playing with the feedback. This is where the magic will happen. I'll take another LFO like so. I'll set it to modulate the feedback like so. Let's take the mix down for now. I'll make it modulate between like 30% and like 50, maybe 55% should be good. Again, I'll set it on random. Maybe 1 and 4, add some smoothing, like so. So this is pretty exciting because what we've just done with the Valhalla Delay is exactly what we've done with Silo and last week's tutorial. We kept the original sound and we've added some excitement and like, you know, mojo, new mojo to it, if that makes sense. Like we've added some coloration, you know, again, just like last week, like using certain compressor because it'll add certain coloration to the sound, if that makes sense. So what I'll do now, I'll spice up the sound even more by adding like a beat repeat after the Valhalla Delay and like make some crazy stuff with it. But for this, what I'm going to do, I'll create some sort of a dry and wet knob, because when you crank the mix a little bit, since we're modulating the feedback, as you can hear, it'll self-resonate. And that's why we're going to create a separate dry and wet knob, because with this kind of modulation, you have to record what you're doing afterward because, you know, it's random. So when you finish recording, you can just put the mix on 0 and no more sound will come out of it. If that makes sense. So now let's group all of these, Control J, pretty simple. And let's duplicate this chain in here. And on the second chain, I'll call it dry. And the first one, I'll call it wet. So the second one, I'll just delete everything like so. And now I'll click on chain in here, crank these sliders all the way up, just like so. And I'll do this little thing in here. These sliders, you have to play with them. So this is basically wet and this is basically dry. And I'll just leave some space in here, because even with this kind of like a new Ableton dry and wet knob that we're creating, some of the sound will still bleed. And by doing so, by leaving this empty space in here, we will just make sure there's no bleeding of the sound. And now we'll just go to the macros in here, we'll click on map, and we'll map the slider, just click on it to the first macro. So now we have a dry and wet knob. And this Valhalla Delay, I'll put the mix all the way up. Nothing. And now we have the Valhalla Delay. I'll modulate the feedback even to like maybe 68% should be good. Perfect. And now I'll add beat repeat from Ableton. And you can, if you don't have Ableton Live, you can use something like Chris Glitch. We'll get the exactly same results, or almost. On beat repeat, I'll leave it the interval on 1 bar times 100%. I'll set the grid, I'll leave it on 1/16. I'll just add 3 variations, no triplets. And the mix in here, I'll set it to insert. So basically, it's going to replace the input signal with the affected signal. So we won't have the input and the affected signal, because this is what will happen when we set it on mix. I hope that makes sense. And now, let's hear what we have. Okay, let's add more variations, like so. And with the utility, I'm going to control the level of the sound, because it's just becoming way too loud. Maybe set it to -5 decibels. Perfect. And with all these effects, I'm pretty sure we have some nasty lower frequencies that we need to take out. Like so. Okay. Not a lot, fair enough. And I'll just, since it goes really high with the frequencies, I'm going to take some of these higher frequencies out, like so. Perfect. And now one last thing I'm going to do, I'll set the utility in here to -10 decibels. And I'll add a compressor just to control these transients. I'll set it to limiter mode by setting the ratio to infinity. One really fast attack, fast release. Let's compress a bit. Okay, let's turn everything in here. Let's close everything. So now we just have our dry and wet knob, like so. Perfect. And now let's see how it sounds with the kick and bass. Isn't this just exciting and awesome? Like, it's a delay, but we're getting way more effects out of it than just simple delay. And this is just awesome about the Valhalla Delay. And I've just shown you one algorithm, and like on a simple lead. Now, let's try and see what it can do on an atmosphere, for example. Okay, so for the second example, we're going to try the Valhalla Delay on a texture/pad. So for this, I'm using an atmosphere from an upcoming Vital bank called High Up in the Mountains, and I'm modulating one of the macros to get something that sounds like this. Okay, pretty nice. Now let's add Valhalla Delay and see what we can do with it. So I'm going to set the mode to reverse pitch. So now we have this. Pretty nice. What I'm going to do, I'll group it, because when you group instruments in Ableton Live, you'll get access to macros. So I need these macros to play with the delay time and with the pitch shifting in here, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'll just open up, click, on this little arrow, get these automationable, I think, parameters from Valhalla Delay. I'll click on map, and I'll map the delay time in here. I'll set it to micro 1, like so, and the shift in here, I'm going to set it to micro 2. So now with my push, I can actually modulate these two parameters easily. So that's nice. Now what I'm going to do, I'll set the style in here to quad. And for now, I'll leave it on swell. And I'll take the feedback a little bit down. And now I'll hit play, and I'll play with these two macros, or basically the pitch shift and the delay time, and see what we already have. And let's set the mix to 100%. Now let's listen to what we have. Let's try with the settings on repeat instead of swell. Pretty nice. Now let's send this channel to an external delay, basically my general purpose delay, Echo Boy, 1/8 dotted ping pong, and some reverb. Here we have, for the reverb, we have the little plate from Sound Toys. And now let's see what we can do with it. I can trip on this for hours endlessly, and just record the output and use it in the tribe, because this is something like unique. Like you literally do it once in a lifetime. You won't repeat the same modulation twice. So this is awesome. And yeah, with this is the end of this tutorial. I really hope you've liked it. I really hope you've learned something new. And if you want to support me and support my project and the channel, you can consider, buying my presets on Gumroad, maybe becoming a Patreon, or just, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And with this is the end of this one. Have a great one.